Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Laurient.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're coming at you live from my car.
It's a nice car.
Hyundai Tucson, baby. So anyway, the reason that we're in the car today is because we are on our way to go to family's house. And I was supposed to film this video earlier. We were supposed to film this video earlier and we just didn't have the time. And so I was like, why don't we leave the house a couple minutes early, park somewhere, just film this. We're gonna really try to be like more conscious about trying to fit creating content in our schedule, even if that means sometimes it doesn't look perfect. Like we're not sitting in a perfect little setup in our house.
Sorry.
This is real life. We're busy on the weekend, we're in the car, but you are gonna get your video.
Right. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. So the topic of today's video is actually a pretty cool one. It's gonna just be us reflecting on the past year of our adoption journey because it has been a year now.
Flew by.
Went by really fast. We started at the end of February. And when I say started, I mean started working with our agency. Like we had been doing research like independently and then together for a few months before we actually got started. We had been researching agencies and talking to agencies, but we had our info session with our agency at the end of February of 2019. And then we started the paperwork right after. So I figure for this video, we'll just kind of do like Q&A style.
All right.
I had a couple of like questions I thought of,
Okay.
and we can kind of just share our answers with you.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
What were your feelings about the process or your thoughts about the process like at the very beginning?
I was nervous. Financially, I didn't know if we could do it.
Oh, so you were nervous about money?
Right.
Yeah, I do actually recall that.
Yeah.
You were like, okay, well, you know, we'll have an info session with this agency or whatever, but I don't know that we can afford it. I don't know that we're gonna be able to afford it. We're gonna have to see.
Right.
And we just kind of started.
Yeah.
Not ever sure if we were going to be able to afford it. But we're like, we'll figure it out along the way. I'm very much a we'll figure it out along the way kind of person.
And then you know what? It's been working for us this way.
Because you do. Because my theory about life is when you really, really want something, you make it work.
Yeah. And it's been working for us this far.
Yeah, you just, if you want something bad enough, you will find a way to make it work. That's just my thoughts. I think for me, at the beginning of the process, I was really, really excited. And I was really eager. I just remember that like everybody kept saying like, oh, average, it takes about 1.5 years before you like, you know, get a match or get a placement or whatever. And I just kept thinking like, it's not gonna take that long for us. It's not gonna take that long. And it didn't take that long to get the first match. It happened almost instantly, but here we are a year later.
Yeah.
And we have a car seat base installed in the back seat of the car, and we don't have a car seat. We're a baby.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Within the last year, what would you say like your very like best or like favorite memory has been in the process the last year?
My best memory was being with the twins.
Oh yeah.
In the hotel room and just having them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because that was, that's mine too, actually, is like just being there, you know, in the hospital and being able to do like their cares and like, you know, when we left with them, that was a really exciting moment when we like got to put their car seats in the back of the SUV and like drive to the hotel. Mike literally drove.
I had my flashers.
He drove with his hazards on and he drove so slow. I was like, Mike, oh my gosh, the GPS says the hotel is like 5 minutes from here. It's gonna take us 40 minutes at the rate that you're driving. But it was really cute. And
I didn't want to make any fast turns. I know. Sharp stops.
I know. You were trying to drive like a careful new papa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was like a time that ended up being really difficult for us at the end of that, but it's a time I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was we've never had to care for infants before like that, you know, and so like having to like we learned a lot. And it also just kind of confirmed in us like how badly I think we wanted to be parents.
Absolutely. And I think it gave me more experience on changing diapers. Now I actually know how to change a diaper. Somewhat.
Kind of.
So
I guess then that leads me to my next question, which was like, what was the hardest moment in this past year?
Well, the hardest moment was losing them.
Yeah. The disrupted placement was tough. I mean, as anyone can imagine, you know, when you have children that you really think are are going to be joining your family and then they don't, like that's really hard, especially when you've been, you know, taking care of them and, you know, getting to know them, and you know, that is really, really difficult. But like I said, it's still a time we're super grateful for. And I'm really proud of how fast we kind of recovered and like moved on. You know, we talk about them all the time, and we do that because we can. Like, we don't cry when we talk about them. Like, we smile and we're like, oh my gosh, good times. Like, I hope they're doing, you know, so well. Like, I hope they're thriving. Like, you know, all of the things. And it was one of the hardest things I think we've ever gone through. But like, we came out of it stronger as a couple. And just as individuals. What was a fear that you had at the very beginning of this process? Like when we were just starting out, that like you don't have anymore, like you realize it's kind of like silly or like whatever. I know mine. So mine is that in the very beginning, when we first started researching adoption and open adoption, you know, you find that there's levels of openness. Like some people are super, super open, and some people are like barely opened. And you know that it's good to be open, to have an open adoption. Studies show that it's just more beneficial for the children to know where they came from as humans. Like, that's important to all of us. So we knew obviously that regardless of our fears, we were gonna do it, but we definitely felt threatened. I think there was like that fear of like,
I did have that fear,
it was like, well, do I have to like share them with their biological family? You know, are they going to, if they know their biological family, are they going to love us as much as they love their biological family? Are we always going to feel like their biological parents are kind of looming overhead? Now that I've been in this world for the past year and I've listened to other people's stories and I've formed relationships with 3 expectant families myself, like, I don't have that fear anymore. Like, it feels natural. It feels like you should have that relationship with them, and your child should have that relationship with them, and it's not scary anymore. Like, everybody loves this child, and this child is going to love everybody, and that's just what feels right. It feels like that's how it should be. Like, you don't have this fear anymore that they're gonna love one more than the other. And it's kind of just like a really silly fear to have. I think it's natural to have. So if you are starting this process and that's kind of how you feel, it will go away. You won't feel that way soon.
I think my biggest fear in the beginning was money. You know, financially, could we do this?
Yeah.
And I think that's everybody's fear at first, without having a real knowledge of whatever. But we made it work. We was able to save a certain amount, and
yeah, the money really does come. Like, we did a fundraiser, and I remember we did like a t-shirt fundraiser on Bonfire, and we thought that like nobody was gonna, we were like, okay, like our moms and like a few family members will buy t-shirts,
but
and that's it.
Bought t-shirts.
But like so many people bought t-shirts, and then like people that just felt like our story resonated with them, you know, created flyers and posted them around their places of business, and then people we didn't even know were buying t-shirts or donating, and a community of people just really showed up to support us.
Yeah, we had a lot of support. So
yeah, it just, the money doesn't. It's funny because there's if you watch Angela Brandon from This Gathered Nest, she talks about one of her son's adoptions, and how they had a situation where they had lost money in a failed match, and when a situation arose for them to adopt their son, they didn't have the money, and they were like, we're not going to be able to do this. And she was like, I can't just give up like that. And she wrote a blog post about all the ways she was going to raise the money, and had also created like a, you know, either a GoFundMe or like an Adopt With Us or Adopt Together account or something. And people just donated, and by the next day they had what they were missing to complete the adoption. And it just like came out of nowhere. And I'm telling you, when your heart is in it and you want something bad enough, it will happen. Like, the money does come. After being on the adoption journey for the last year, we've clearly learned a lot. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned? For me, I think the biggest thing that I've learned was patience. Honestly, there's a lot of waiting in the adoption game. Like, there's a lot of waiting. Like, whether you're waiting for a match or you've been matched and you're waiting for your placement, you know, those 3 days, depending on actually what state you're from, because it's not 3 days for everybody, it's 72 hours where we are. But like that time from when the child is born to when the paperwork can be signed, it's a short period of time, but that period of time feels like forever. You're waiting just to see what the outcome is going to be.
It's a big waiting game.
There's a lot of waiting, and it's funny because in the beginning when you're doing your paperwork, you're like, hurry, 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 want to get all the paperwork in. Then once you get it in, like, you're waiting.
Right.
You're waiting.
That's true.
You're waiting to hear back about your home study. Then you're waiting to hear about, you know, your profile and everything else. There's like, there's a lot of waiting. So you definitely, you know, you learn patience. And I think the other thing I learned is really just compassion. I mean, I've always been a very empathetic person. Just naturally, I can easily put myself in other people's shoes. But this process has taught me a whole new level of that, like in dealing with expectant mothers and the feelings that they feel. And I'm just like so much more compassionate in this than I think I ever thought I would even be.
Right.
A lot of the times, you know, I put my own feelings aside and I don't even think about what's best for us or what protects us the most. I'm often thinking about the other side of it, which sets me up sometimes for heartache. But at the end of the day, a lot of the times I'm willing to take that on.
I learned that even when things are hard and everything is falling apart around you, that me and you, we can go through something that chaotic and painful and damaging. And we walked out of that still pretty solid. We went through hell and came back and we're still strong.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I mean, the situation wasn't cool, but I learned of what we have together.
Yeah. Just how strong our marriage is and our relationship and
that's
bond
nice.
is. So after being in this process for the last year, what advice would you give to another couple just starting out?
Have patience, because it's a long process. It's a waiting game. I mean, sometimes you get matched right away and sometimes you don't, but definitely be cautiously optimistic, because not everything goes as according
to the
plan.
Yeah. I think I would give the advice of just not losing faith, because there are going to be times when that is tested, and there are going to be times when you feel like it's never going to happen, or it's just, it happened, it works for everybody else, but it's just not going to work for you because it's not working out. And you know, there are going to be times when you feel like you're on the wrong path. And we felt like that. Yep, and we felt like that, and it's hard. And if you give in to those feelings, you may never meet the child that was intended for you through this. So stay strong, stay the course. You know, like Mike said, be cautiously optimistic. That doesn't mean be guarded. I think that's also important to note. It's not about being guarded. When you meet an expectant parent, like, they need you. They need your compassion. They need your understanding. They might need support. They might need somebody to lean on and talk to. That might be something they're lacking in their own lives.
Right.
And you have an opportunity to be that for them and to form that bond early with your potential child's biological parents, and that's a really special thing. And so I say, don't necessarily be guarded. Don't be like, I don't want to talk to you because if I get to know you, it could really hurt my feelings. Like, yes, you do have to know that you could very well get hurt in this.
Right.
But just approach it cautiously. It's been a crazy year of ups and downs, but now that we're a year in, like, what are your feelings right now?
I'm very hopeful and excited.
Yeah.
You know, cautiously optimistic, of course.
Yeah.
And
name of the game.
Being hopeful and having faith.
Yeah. But we're at I guess a good place.
I think we're in a good place
in our journey.
I do think so.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly at this point. I mean, we are, like I said, at a good place right now with our current match, and we're just kind of waiting to see what happens next. If this is our last match for this journey and this is going to be our placement, or you know, if we have to start up again and like what that looks like, we don't know. Well, but
hopefully this is it.
Right now we're feeling pretty hopeful about our adoption journey. So my last question, would you adopt again in the future? Same.
I would.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, guys, well, I know this wasn't like the most exciting video with us sitting in the car just chit-chatting, but it's real, it's authentic, and we just wanted to kind of share our feelings with you and kind of just reflect on the past year and what this process has looked like for our family and everything else about our adoption journey. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave us a thumbs up. You can leave us any questions or comments you have down below. Do not forget to subscribe for more videos from us in the future, and we will see you guys in our next one. Bye.
Bye.